voice of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is no longer a beautiful Friday. It is pouring in Bellevue. Look outside there. The bottom has fallen out again. So depending on where you might be over the next few hours, get ready. There's going to be a lot of rain. Let me say up front, we were not with you yesterday. And much as Kelly would probably, if he'd been around, have loved to blame it on Billy, it's simply not the case. This is kind of a StreamYard all over the country problem. So, Billy, talk some English to me. What happened? Okay, we have dead air here for a moment, and let's find out why.
Sorry. So that's something that's never happened before. It was apparently a Google Cloud issue, and no one could use StreamYard at that hour or any other streaming platform. There were a lot of internet servers that were down and streaming services that were down. So I thought initially it was an us issue, but it wasn't on us. It was something that no one could stream at that time, and it popped up right around 1:30 or 2. So luckily we're back on. It usually doesn't last longer than a day. So glad to be back on.
Yeah, we want to be back on. So today, a little bit of doubling up in what we're doing, in that Danny Evans will join us at 3:20 when we come out of the update, and we'll talk some Major League Baseball with him. Then at 4 o'clock today, Tennessee Tech football coach Bobby Wilder will be with us. I've never dealt with Bobby before, so this is a new one. His Golden Eagles will probably be the favorite to win the OVC in 2025. In other words, in a couple of months. And then Commissioner Jeff Fisher, I have a hard time saying that. I think of him as the Titans coach, is what I think. He'll join us today at 4:20. So we got a busy show. The rain doesn't give you the excuse to be out in the beautiful weather, so kick back and enjoy.
Yeah, by the way, how long has Bobby Wilder been at Tennessee Tech?
I think this is year number 2.
2? Okay.
For him.
Because he was at Old Dominion previously, right?
I know
he was there because I saw some pictures of him.
Yeah, I don't know that for sure. The former coach, Dwayne Alexander, I was with 2 Saturdays ago. Bowling Green, under Eddie George, Bowling Green State University had a function in Nashville. And at the 11th hour, Eddie asked me to MC it. And I told him, I said, look, you've got me until 7:30. At 8 o'clock, I'm going to the Vandy-Louisville game. So Dwayne Alexander, the former coach at Tennessee Tech, part of the Bowling Green staff of Eddie George's, and that's a good thing. It was good to see all those guys.
Looking back, would you have rather stayed at Bowling Green for a few more hours?
No, it was here.
Oh, it was in Nashville.
Yes, it was the event was here.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you didn't drive all the way.
No, I think Bowling Green is way up in Ohio. This is not like Cincinnati.
Right.
Down in the southern part of the state. It's up
there.
It's up there pretty good ways. Up toward, I want to say up toward Canton. I act like I know. I don't know.
But that's a pretty good staff that Eddie's assembled up there with Dwayne Alexander and Brandon Fisher, as we know.
Eddie is going to do well at Bowling Green. The only worry I have, I think he misses Nashville. I think this is a place that is really near and dear to his heart. And I don't think this is the beginning of us never seeing Eddie George again. I think there'll be a day. There'll be a day where he's back here.
Yeah,
because he's told me that that part's been hard.
But yeah, he's absolutely going to get it going there. I 100% agree.
I'll tell you one thing. We had a discussion that night before everybody got there, where I admitted to him that I thought when I first heard that he was going to get into acting, I was like, this makes no sense. And I thought he would bomb at it. And I told him that I thought he'd bomb at it. And then when I saw him, the first time I saw him in the acting world, I was like, oh my God, this guy can really do this. And I've decided that Eddie George is just one of those people that whatever he puts his mind to, he will be successful once he decides to put the emotional and physical resources behind something.
Yeah,
that's my take on Eddie.
He's not going to fail at anything.
No, he's not.
But we aren't going to fail at this update either.
Really? Is that so?
It's brought to you by the great folks at X Golf in Nashville. Step into the future of golf with X Golf. Experience the world's most accurate golf simulator and elevate your game like never before. Book your tee time now at playxgolf.com. Don't miss out on their restaurant and bar. You can fuel your game with ice-cold beers on tap, craft cocktails, fine wines, and much more. Check out their new location out in Franklin, 209 South Royal Oaks. And what a game last night in the Stanley Cup Final. It lives up once again, and this is going down as one of the better final series ever. The way these games have gone, the Oilers win it in overtime, 5-4. Another Leon Draisaitl overtime game winner. That is his fourth.
Although in truth, did he really have anything to do with it? I mean, it's just one of these fluky deals that hits somebody's skate and goes.
But still, I mean, to be in and around another goal and another win, to be, a big reason of another Oiler win in overtime. That's his fourth NHL record, fourth overtime goal in these playoffs.
Wow.
He also set the regular season record with 6 OT goals this season. So he's obviously been huge. And the Oilers are the first road team in Stanley Cup final history to rally from a deficit of at least 3 goals and win since Montreal rallied to beat Seattle. Not the Kraken. This was all the way back in 1919. So down 3-0, but doesn't matter.
Repeat after me. This series is going 7.
I wholeheartedly agree with that at this point. Has it been back and forth?
What do you mean?
Is it Oilers, Panthers, Panthers, Oilers to win?
It was Oilers game 1 and 4.
1
and 3 have gone.
So 1, 2, and then 1.
Yeah.
Unreal. Tonight we got game 4 of the NBA Finals. Thunder in Indianapolis to play the Pacers. Thunder trying to get some revenge. If the Pacers take a 3-1 lead here, obviously danger zone for the Thunder. OKC favored by 5.5 tonight. So we shall see what happens there. Interesting piece of NBA news. Former Thunder star Russell Westbrook, of course, now with the Nuggets, won't be with the Nuggets anymore. He's declining his $3.4 million player option for next season, which will make him a free agent. He averaged 13 points, 45% shooting, 6 assists, 5 rebounds for the Nuggets this season.
Wow. $3.4 million. I guess they didn't want to pay it.
You wonder how coveted he'll be because he's not the same player he was, but still, I mean, I thought he played well for the Nuggets, for the playoffs for the most part. But that's what you got in the NBA. College World Series underway. Arizona leads Coastal Carolina 4-3 in the bottom of the 6th. Coastal took an early 2-0 lead, and then Arizona tied it at 2 in the 4th. Coastal got another one back in the 5th, but Arizona has come back to take the lead with 2 runs here in the 6th inning. So,
okay,
good game going there. We got another one tonight at 6:00. Louisville and Oregon State. all four of these really excited about. Of course, tomorrow you've got the big one between Arkansas and LSU. You've also got the Racers, Murray State and UCLA tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So everything underway in Omaha. Also, the U.S. Open is off and running. They kicked off yesterday. Taking a look at the leaderboard, in first place alone atop the leaderboard, a guy named, I think, Tristan Lawrence is how you pronounce that. He is at 6 under. Sam Burns and J.J. Spahn are tied for second at 3 under. Victor Hovland, Ben Griffin, and Sam Stevens are all 1 under in a tie for fourth. So not a lot of big names atop the leaderboard. I know Victor Hovland's a big name. See if he can keep playing well. Brooks Koepka has struggled a bit. Have you seen, I don't know if you've watched any of it, have you seen the roughs?
Yeah, you couldn't get out of there with a John Deere tractor. Good God.
I think Scheffler had one. Yeah, he was in the rough. I don't know how far he was, 20 feet away.
Yeah.
Probably hit it 8-10 feet.
No, you need a machete.
Might as well get you couldn't hit a driver. I don't know what you hit out of that rough.
Look, I get it. They're trying to test them. It's the United States Open, but it uglies up the course.
Yeah.
Something fierce.
Well, and they call it it's a links course.
Yeah,
so it's similar to the Open Championship at St. Andrews.
Kind of a goat hole.
Yeah, and their bunkers aren't as bad as St. Andrews and some of the international courses, but you see shots where it might be a 200-yard par 3 and they're hitting hybrid and they got to run it all the way up there, up the fairway. It rolls onto the green. It's a different style of
they're
game.
trying to challenge them.
Yeah,
I get it. It's our country's championship, but it makes for some ugly stuff.
It really does. We got some Tennessee involved news. This is a big one. A Tennessee court, I guess this actually went down last night. Tennessee court denies a preliminary injunction in the eligibility case brought by Tennessee basketball player Zakai Ziegler. And if you remember, that's what initially Diego Pavia had applied for. He had that granted. This is the first big step in having Ziegler be eligible. It's not looking like he's going to be eligible.
They denied it.
Yeah. Well, denied the preliminary injunction, which means it's not getting any further past that. So doesn't looks like Ziegler's going to have to go get a job. Just to put that out there. Also, a really interesting story that I think is going to continue to get buzz. Grant Frerking, a former walk-on receiver at Tennessee and paid consultant with the program, is alleged to have committed significant financial scams and crimes. And there's a lot to this story, and maybe we can get to more to it later. But he essentially had been the face of On3's NIL division since he left the Tennessee football program after the 2022 season, as he was terminated by the company late last month. Shannon Terry released in a statement on Twitter. But in explosive reporting from the Knoxville News Sentinel this week with Adam Sparks and Mike Wilson, Frerking was revealed to be a contract employee of Tennessee's athletics department, and specifically for the football program. And according to the report, Tennessee paid him $30,000 as a contract consultant for a 2-year contract that expires at the end of the month. Tennessee officials said that he no longer worked for Tennessee and has not done any recent work on campus. However, he had still been heavily involved in Tennessee athletics as recently as just 6 months ago.
So it looked like that they were paying him to kind of give them advice about the NIL world and all that.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it this way. Tuesday, when we have Tony Basilio on, that'll definitely be spicy.
Yeah, there's a lot here, and I don't pretend to know everything that has gone on or went on, but crazy story, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Who knows what comes out of this? But we'll continue to track that. Also in the NFL, former NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown is facing a charge of attempted murder with a firearm. The charge is based on a shooting he was allegedly involved in during a celebrity boxing event in Miami last month. He was detained by police after gunshots were fired at the boxing event.
Antonio Brown has some real issues, and it's really a shame. There was a time where, as a Pittsburgh Steeler, he was considered the best wide receiver in football. And you talk about a free fall in his life. It's really a shame. It's a tragedy. I don't know what's going to change this guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is just another line in his, downward trajectory in his career. It is really sad.
It is sad.
So that's what I got.
Okay. After the break, Danny Evans will join us. We got a lot of things to get to with him, so stick around. It's going to be fun. Yeah, the rain sucks. It doesn't feel like summer, but you know what? Look on the positive. With the bad weather, kick back, enjoy a Friday afternoon of good sports talk on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank & Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series in Norfolk. Pre-game at 5:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're back. Before I bring Danny up here, I want to show a picture and say thank you to Metro Councilman Jeff Eastlick, who I worked with for years in the radio business. This was a picture of a bunch of us that got together earlier today for the 79th birthday of as good a radio salesperson as there ever has been in Bill Johns. And I want to thank as good a general manager as I ever worked for, Steve Dickert, for putting that together. Let's bring Danny Evans up. Danny, I know the friendships matter to you. When you get in one of those kind of scenarios, who are the people, if you could pick 6 to 8 that you want there for some big celebration from your baseball life, who are they?
Wow. A few of them have passed away, George. That's the problem. I started so early in my career. Jim Fregosi would be one of them, and Jeff Torborg would be one of them. They're both gone.
Yeah.
Roland Heyman, gone. I'd probably have Tony La Russa. I'd have Kim Eng there. I'd have Jerome Holtzman. I'd bring him back from the dead.
Wow. Yeah.
What an amazing guy. So much fun to be with. I'd have Frank Thomas with me. I would have Robin Ventura so I could laugh the entire time. And I would have AC Kurogi, who's a Pacific Rim operations guy now for the Padres. And I'd have Scott Akasaki, who is the best team travel guy in Major League Baseball with the Dodgers. And I'd have one hell of a good lunch.
Yeah. A lot of lies would be told.
Well, George, the fun part, I teach that class for sports management worldwide. And I tell everybody, it's not the wins and the losses that I remember. It's like you, George. I mean, the ratings are great, but it's the moments that you never forget. And I just was on the phone today with one of my dearest friends in the game, a media person, and we were just laughing about something that happened about 25 years ago, and we were giggling like it happened on Monday. And then we were all done. He just said, "Man, that was such a good time." And I said, "I know. Let's not forget stuff like that." So, George, the memories are great, and the games are great, but boy, the people make it so much better.
So, Billy, one of the stories that came up today, I was about 18 years old, and Steve Dickert sent me out to cover, this was in an August, election. So he sent a sports guy out to cover a political deal. And all he wanted was for me to write down, like on this, all the stuff and then read it into the phone. And it would have been something like, here at Councilman Jeff Eastlick's election night, emotions are running high. The candidate looks like he's going to win, blah, blah, blah. Reporting from the such and such hotel. And I couldn't figure out what the hell he wanted. Steve Dickert, who was a very patient man, finally said, "George, just go home." So that was one of the good stories that got told today, but it was a great time. And so I'm in a good mood. You look like you're in a good mood. How come we're not talking more about what Aaron Judge is on track to do, which is just unheard of kind of numbers?
Hey, George, I'm in a good mood. I spent most of the day talking to friends. Weirdly, just worked out that way. And then I spent the last 2 hours watching the Cub Pirate game
Yeah.
with Skeens and Horton. Oh my gosh, was that a good matchup? You know what? I think the same problem, um, very honestly, with Judge is what's been happening with Kershaw, what's been happening with Trout, what's been happening with some of the really elite players in the game. We get used to them being great. And I think, you think about Tom Brady, you think about Jordan, think about Gretzky. Um, I mean, right now we're watching one of the greatest Stanley Cup finals ever. And, when you see a lot of great, we get so spoiled, we forget how great they are. And Judge is having literally one of the greatest seasons in baseball history, and maybe the best season ever by a right-handed hitter. I mean, the names that we're talking about having years like him are all with plaques in Cooperstown. I mean, we're talking about stunning achievements. And this guy, without as much protection as he's had in previous years, he is having an extraordinary season. And I think, we're almost 70 games in. I think we're starting to have expectations of Judge being great. And it's really unfair to not appreciate him in his prime, because here he is and he's in the early 30s. I think he's 33, 32. And this guy is absolutely just amazing. And let's never take that for granted. Bill James, the great Saber statistician and baseball savant, once said to me, there's always around 24 Hall of Famers playing. And we don't realize it frequently until their careers are over. So people like Jose Ramirez, people, that are studs like Kershaw, ever since he told me that, and with the amazing ability we have today to watch guys play just about every game, I've tried to watch them while they're still great and appreciate what great looks like. Because in Judge's case, I mean, there was a little kid in the store a couple days ago in front of me, and I said, "So why do you have a Judge jersey on?" And he goes, "Man, he's so strong." And I said, "Okay, cool. He is living in Iowa, yet he knows this guy in the Bronx is a dude, and he's great for our game. He's done really good things off the field." George, think about it. Think about their last two captains. Pretty darn good guys who have been very successful on the field. The Yankees have done a nice job handing over the captaincy from Jeter to Judge, and both of them have excelled.
Maybe one of the reasons we don't talk about him as much is because of Shohei Ohtani and his greatness. There's a lot
George,
of
George, can I go somewhere? He's also clean off the field. And I think, who do we talk about? Look who you were talking about in the segue. We talk about people with problems. Yeah. We talk about people who have issues with the law or issues with domestic abuse or alcohol abuse. This is a guy who just shows up and excels. And Ohtani is unique. You just brought him up. To me, potentially the greatest player in the history of the game, doing things on both sides of the ball the last 10 years that no one has ever done. And I think he merits that conversation. I think he merits being that great. But Judge on one side of the ball is right there with him, if not better. And that's pretty extraordinary for the sport.
Would you risk the pitching part of Ohtani? Because I know it's really good when it's good, but it seems like it always ends up at the end with arm issues.
It does for everybody, George. Nobody escapes shoulder and elbow problems as a pitcher. They just don't. So yes, for me. In fact, for the first 5-6 years of his career, I liked him more on the mound than the bat. But I thought he was elite in both cases. But I think, just imagine the Dodgers have 16 guys who are pitchers on the DL right now. 16. And they're on a 95 to 97 win pace When this guy comes back after the All-Star break, think about who his teammates will be. He's going to have Yoshinobu. He's going to have Kirsch. He's going to have Tyler Glasnow. He's going to have some dudes. And when he comes back, George, on his bad days, he's a 3-hole starter. But when he pitches and he bats, he has some of the greatest games of his career. He's just totally engaged and for some reason excels. So heck yeah, I've been a fan of him doing both since I first saw him at 19, and I'm never getting off that soapbox.
So you know that I was upset about the Craig Kimbrell deal.
Yeah.
And I guess part of me believes that Kimbrell will ultimately end up in the Hall of Fame. And I would like to see him go in as an Atlanta Brave, but I feel like what went on a week ago might make that more troublesome. Give the listeners, because I've given them the I'm pissed off part of it. Give them the, yeah, but George hadn't thought about X.
Cooperstown isn't kind to relievers, George. It just isn't. For some reason, center fielders, catchers, pitchers, and third basemen, for some reason, relievers just don't get that sort of excitement for voters. We differ. I do not think that Kimbrell is a Hall of Famer. I think he's borderline, and I think he's really darn good. But I think for some reason, we as a game, we don't give the credit. I mean, Billy Wagner, why did he have to wait so long to get into the Hall? This guy was one of the most dominant relievers of all time. So I think if he gets in, I don't think what happened in the last 10 days is going to be the reason he doesn't wear the hat. This guy's been really good, and he's been good for an elongated period, which George doesn't happen. You know that. There's a lot of closers that are good for 2-3 years, but to do it for the length of time he's done it is pretty darn extraordinary. I mean, I tip my hat to him. He's been really, really good. And for the listeners, saying the guy isn't a Hall of Famer, I don't want anyone to think that I don't respect how great he is. I just think there's 238 guys who have been voted in by the veterans, and that's less than 1% who's ever played the game. So to be a borderline Hall of Famer, you're in the upper echelon in the history of the sport. I don't think what was done will hurt him, will determine his fate as a Hall of Famer. And I don't think if he does get in that it would disturb whatever hat he decides to wear.
Okay, Billy, you've got a couple of questions for Danny. Then we'll go to the break. We'll open up phone calls for him. We're going to keep Danny on until 4. Danny was nice enough when we had the StreamYard problems yesterday to say, I'm in for Friday. Billy, go.
All right, I'm stealing this from your Twitter, Danny. You had retweeted this from a baseball podcast. It says, baseball haters everywhere are furious. MLB viewership is on the rise big time. Fox is up 10%. ESPN is up 22%. TBS is up. MLB Network, MLB TV. Why?
I think there's a couple reasons. George touched on one earlier. We've got some people playing the game that are historic achievers and that are fun as heck to watch. They're dynamic personalities. They don't look like the ordinary person. And I think as a result, people gravitate to them because they want to see excellence. They want to see greatness. But I think there's another component that's really healthy for the sport. George, you and I talked about this a couple years ago. When the big markets have good teams, it's great for the game. Now think about it. The Mets might be the best team in baseball right now. The Dodgers are phenomenal, coming off a World Series in a mid-90s win pattern. The Giants playing really great baseball. The Cubs. Think about all the clubs throughout the country that are really killing it. I mean, the Phillies, you take a look at all these bigger markets, even Detroit. Detroit's a big media market, and what you have is more interest in the game. The attendance is at an all-time high, but I think the ratings are because we have great players being great, and we have big market clubs playing as they should. I believe having the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Cubs as 4 or 5 of the top teams in the game is great for the game. And why do we watch, Billy? We watch because we like or we hate, right? We don't watch because they're mediocre. Admittedly I've been watching Oakmont because I shot a 118 at Oakmont on a drizzly day, and I am so proud of it. I thought I played well. Okay. And I'm watching these pros and I'm going,
did.
been there, know how it feels. So I think people either love or hate the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, and subsequently they're turning on through TV, they're streaming, and they're watching. And Billy, I'm right there. I think there are so many fun guys to watch right now.
You mentioned the Cubs, and man, they are just loaded. Danny, that we love to talk about Pete Crow Armstrong, and we were kind of talking about their lineup, and I had brought up the fact that they feel like a young team, but they're playing so well. But you've also got Kyle Tucker in there, kind of an older guy that is playing really well. Seiya Suzuki is so exciting. Because to me, Danny, when they released, how many players from that World Series team left? Not like. And then a lot of the talk was the Cubs are going to be down for a while, but they've built it right back up. How have they done it? And what's their potential this year?
Well, Billy, a great question. I'm going to tell you and the listeners, and this is really fun. Earlier in the Cubs broadcast today, they said that Skeens and Armstrong were on a U12 travel team together as kids. And I just thought to myself, there's some travel team coach who just heard that and said, well, that explains why we lost to them in some tournament. And it's like, can you imagine playing against two big leaguers who are Hall of Fame caliber players if they continue, their trajectory right now? To go back to the Cubs, they had a couple very disappointing seasons. I think some of their moves were, I think, questioned, and I think debated as to whether or not they were really good. Was there a commitment to win? Jed Hoyer was in his last year in his contract. They bring in Counsell last year, and they kind of fall flat. They don't win. They don't pick it up in September when, as we all know, the wild card was there in the National League. And I think they held his feet to the fire, and he answered the call. I like Jed a lot. He's a really good guy. I've got the ballpark in the background because I grew up there. That's my field that I grew up. But I think what they're doing, Billy, is they've overcome injuries very well. But what they've done is they've played a really solid baseball brand. They've swung the bats. I've always liked Suzuki, and Suzuki's playing well. They're playing good defense. They're pitching like heck, and their bullpen's really good. And I think people like Horton have come on and been impactful to their team, but they're also taking advantage of opportunities. And when they've had a shot, they've won ball games. I think they're so fun to watch. They worked Skeens better than anybody has all year. Skeens had 95 pitches through 5 and had to come out. He'd only allowed 4 hits, but they put the ball in play. They hit the ball hard. They had quality at bats. And guys, Skeens is as good as there is in the game right now. And that's why I wanted to watch the game. I wanted to see, are the Cubbies at home on a Friday, typically their best day of the week, are they up to this challenge? And not only were they up for it, it was one heck of a 5-inning battle.
Cubs and Pirates tied 1-1 going to the 9th. Now we're going to open the phones as we go to the break. If you've got baseball questions for Danny, hit the phones right now. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. 0933. Billy, how else can they get to him?
The chat room is open. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all kinds of different ways to get to Danny. We've got one so far. Need a few more in there. Just type in your question and we'll get them over.
Okay, jump in on the phones. We'll take your calls for Danny Evans next on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Carolina, 4-4, bottom of the eighth inning as the College World Series just got underway. Let's take phone calls for Danny Evans at 615-553-0933. Eric on line one, get us going.
Hey, Dan, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I certainly thoroughly enjoyed the segment.
Thank you, Eric. That's kind.
Yeah. As far as the Reds go, you know, this is one of the things that concerns about this team. Of course, last year they got the slow start. Then they got on the winning streak, hot streak. They got over 500, but then it was about this time they got under 500 and could never get back over. Now, I think this is the second time they have been over 500. They're game over, because one of the things that was concerning me recently was, of course, in series. They were losing series. I think the last two, they did sweep the Diamondbacks, and they took 2 out of 3 against Cleveland. But now I'm kind of worried because now they're going to Detroit for 3, and I think Detroit is the best record in the American League. And just the one thing for the rest, for me, that's been consistent is their inconsistency. Because they've had games where they're able to score a lot of runs, and other games where they're struggling to score runs, but then they're giving up lopsided score. Like yesterday, they got beat 11-2, And I'm just wondering if this team is going to get any type of rhythm. I was trying hopeful for the wild card because I do not think we're going to catch the Cubs, but we're still behind both Milwaukee and St. Louis. It just matters if this team can get it together because I know we're going to have a lot of division games coming up soon. But just wanted your thoughts, Danny. I'm going to get off, let you get some other callers. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Eric, I love how you know the game. You follow it so closely. It makes my appearances on this show, it just enhances it further with some of the really great calls, and we've got some great stuff in the chat right now. But Eric, you know what? I'm starting to believe in the Reds. They're starting to play better, and they're winning the games they should win instead of blowing games. And they lost their best arm. He's dinged up right now, but it looks like he's going to come back. But I think the difference is the manager. Nothing against David Bell, but when you've got one of the greatest managers of all time, he knows when to pull on the reins a little bit. And I think Terry Francona is going to do a real good job keeping this club above water. The wild card in the National League is going to take a lot of wins this year. Whereas in the American League, it's probably going to be 83, 84, 85 wins. The National League club's going to be 86, 87, 88. So I don't know if the Reds have enough in their tank to get there, but they're a better team than they were a couple weeks ago. And I am starting to see them as a definite on the come type club.
Okay, Billy, real quick on your end.
Trace on YouTube, MLB draft is a month away. Why doesn't the MLB market the draft like other leagues?
It's a great question. I'm answering questions in the chat for anybody who wants to know. I'm having fun with it, George. I'm trying to multitask here. About 40% of the draft is high school, or is at least candidacy is in high school. And it's hard to take a kid from, Milford, New Jersey, or Austin, Texas, and celebrate his hype like a kid that you're watching at UCLA, for the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina, for Vandy or LSU. I just wanted to get Chanticleers in there, George. And Billy, I think the big thing, the big problem is it's a different stage. We know all the NBA kids. We know the NHL kids. We know the football guys. But unless you're a savant like me, or you're really immersed in the game, you probably don't know the high school kids. And as a result, you can't hype it the same. Bedard is a big deal. McDavid's a big deal coming out of the draft. But the juniors in the NHL is different. You just see more of the kids on video. I think it was a great question. But I think when 60% of your group is college baseball, you're not going to have the same platform. But I think ESPN and MLB have done a great job elevating the stature of the draft in recent years. And, this week and next week, you're going to see 8 to 10 early picks on TV twice a day. That's a lot of fun for us who love the game.
Brad in Maryville, Tennessee. Give me a couple of minutes with Danny Evans. Go ahead, Brad.
Hi, this is Brad. I have the unfortunate situation of being generationally cursed with the fate of watching Seattle Mariners baseball. And year in, year out, we're faced with the same mediocrity. So when someone breaks through like Cal Raleigh has this year, it really puts a smile on my face that I do not get to feel often when watching baseball. So I obviously, great player, has been for a while, but I'd love to know where you think the breakout that we've seen has come from.
That is a great question. Thank you, Danny. Go.
Brad, my favorite place in North America. My gosh, I love Seattle, and I loved working there. I don't know what's happened to their club the last 2 weeks. They've just plummeted. Their general manager was on Starkville as a guest, and the Starkville curse might have struck again. I still think they're a big contender for the wild card, and I would never want to play them in the postseason. Cal Raleigh is one of the best players in the game. Phenomenal insight by the Mariners to sign him long term. He's a switch hitting catcher if you haven't seen him, because he plays late at night 80% of the time. This guy is a bat He handles the team. He's a great pitch caller. To me, one of the most impactful players in the game, in the peak of his game. And this year, he is potentially having the greatest season ever by a catcher in Major League history. And in that ballpark, that's extraordinary. And to be able to be an offensive contributor is one thing in T-Mobile, but to be an elite offensive performer, that is really dealing. So tip of the hat. Great question, Brad.
Billy, go with Ty's question real quick.
Who's your top candidate to get traded at the deadline?
Well, the problem is there's a lot of clubs in the race right now. So here we are in mid-June. It's kind of difficult. I think the Orioles could make some moves if they chose. I'm just looking at the standings. I mean, you've got to be out of the race to be able to do it. Sandy Alcantara with Miami, I think, is a candidate, but his injury history may concern some people. The White Sox, the Rockies, Colorado, those clubs just don't have players you're going to get excited about. Maybe Ryan McMahon as a subordinate player, but I don't think the trade deadline is going to be when you get your team better. It's going to have to come from within.
Let's go Casey on line 3. Casey, I got 2 minutes. Go.
Hey, guys. Hey, Danny. How's it going?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Case.
Good. So my question is, we're not quite halfway through the season, about 70 games, near halfway through. My question for you, Danny, is if you had to pick kind of a midseason awards, I know ESPN usually writes an article about it, but time midseason, but I'd like to know your thoughts on an MVP for each league and a Cy Young Award winner for each league.
I like it. Good question.
All right. So Casey, I'm a tough one on this because I think until it gets serious and until you're in the stretch drive, it's a little easier to be great. It's hard to be great when you have to be great and your team is counting on you. So for me, I think Judge is a real easy candidate in the American League. I think in the National League, I think Alonso, Armstrong, Ohtani are all easy candidates. But I'm a big, and I was just talking to a great writer about this the other day. I don't like anointing people until it matters. Because a player once told me, and George, I think I gave this to you once. A player once told me, until you know that your at bat means everything about the season, one of those moments in September where you have to step up. The game is a fun game. It's not fun at those moments. And he said to me, that's when the MVP awards are really handed out. In case, Casey, I'm going to sit on that and believe in that because I'm a firm believer. And I answered a couple of other questions in the chat.
Tony in Nolensville, I got 2 minutes. Go.
Danny, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'll go ahead and say this. Y'all covered the Cubs really well. I don't know what's going to be their need down the road as we get to the mid part of the season. I will say this to Eric. Get used to staying in the basement or downstairs. A little smack talk there. Just get used to it, buddy.
Central Division smack talk, gang. That's what we're hearing right now.
Division smack talk. And that goes for Pokey, too. He likes the Brewers. So, as far as the College World Series goes, this is the first time not the first time, but this year we've got all new teams. There's no repeat teams from last year. So the whole field of 8, nobody was there last year. And with that being said, of course, everybody in the country now is aware of the Murray State and just a phenomenal story that is in itself. To me, Murray State getting to the College World Series is equivalent to a 15 or 16 seed in March Madness final, getting to the Final Four. And with that being said, who is your pick looking at the 8? Who do you think is probably going to come out on top in the College World Series? leave you alone. Everybody have a great weekend. Danny, talk to you next week. See you.
You too, Tony. Thank you. Who wins
Great
it?
question, Tony. Well, you know what? I'm rooting for Murray State to do well. I think it's great for the sport. When the coach cuts the grass and you've got 800 people in the stands and its capacity, how can you not root for the racers? I mean, come on. I think it's going to be Arkansas or LSU, only because I think they're the best teams. Look out for UCLA. They have a great, great head coach. I think John's one of the best coaches in the country. But I just want to hear Chanticleers a few times. And I really candidly, I think it's great when a team like Murray State gets on a stage like this. I just think it makes us who love the game love it a little bit more. So go Racers.
Luther, I got 2 minutes. Go.
Couple things for you, Danny. For me, the Cardinals going to have to make a move in the rotation. But two, I heard that Savali got traded to the White Sox, and if that's the case, who are the Brewers going to get back in prospects, and how close is Milwaukee to getting maybe their whole starting rotation back? Because I know Brandon Woodruff was on rehab. I know he's supposed to be back out on rehab at some point, and I know Mizorowski got hurt. And is there a possibility that he may have to come back down to AAA Nashville to go back on rehab? And how many guys are going to be on the up and down major league, minor league train from Milwaukee back to Nashville or vice versa to basically fill in some spots for Milwaukee in the rotation?
Good stuff.
Great question. You guys are spoiled in Nashville. You've got a fantastic AAA affiliate right there and a great facility. The Brewers are lurking. They're there. And be careful, like you said, Luther, when their rotation gets healthy, it's not just Peralta, it's everybody. The kid comes up the other day throwing 100 to 102 miles an hour and dominates. I think that deal was a 1-for-1. I think that was the trade. And I think as a result, it's a pretty good deal. But look out for the Brewers. The Brewers are one of the best run organizations in the game. I think they'll be in the middle of the wild card race. They always are.
Danny, next week we'll take a little more time, maybe push it out to 4:20. Thank you for being so patient with us.
You got it, George. As always, have a good weekend, everybody. And thanks for your questions and your chats.
He's the best. He is Danny Evans, and we love having him on. He'll be back with us next Thursday. Stat of the day, and then Tennessee Tech football coach Bobby Wilder on 94.9 The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network. Listen on the air.
So don't tell me to chill out.
On the web at theGameNashville.com.
This team has strategically put themselves back in the mix.
Watch us on YouTube or download the Game Nashville app.
You have to make those plays.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Give Dad what he really wants this Father's Day with gifts from Electronic Express. We've got the latest tech, hottest grills, and top-of-the-line home entertainment to help you celebrate Father's Day in style. Looking for appliances to help him finish that kitchen project? We've got that too, with free delivery, guaranteed lowest prices, and up to 24 months free financing. Make this Father's Day one he'll remember. Shop in store or online at electronicexpress.com.
Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery is your 4th of July pregame. Celebrate the release of Nelson Brothers White Wine Cask Bourbon with a Yacht Rock Block Party featuring frozen old fashions, food, games, and live music. Bring the family for glitter tattoos, caricatures, and the Honky Tonk Badonka Dunk Tank. Tours and tastings from 11 to noon. Tickets just $10 at greenbrierdistillery.com. Join us 11 to 4 at 1414 Quinton Street in Marathon Village. Please enjoy responsibly. Nelson Brothers White Wine Cask, a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys finished in white wine casks, 52.65% alcohol by volume, Nashville, Tennessee.
It's Family Leisure's ultimate pool party sale. Huge savings on above-ground pools. 24-foot pools start at $29.99 installed.
Save 30 to 70% on outdoor furniture. Hundreds of sets on display and on sale.
Spas start at only $29.99.
Pool tables as well as shuffleboards starting at just $19.99.
Family Leisure has indoor and outdoor saunas on sale starting at only $19.99.
Massage chairs and theater seating are on sale as well.
That's Family Leisure's ultimate pool party sale.
Family and fun come together.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We got Tech football coach Bobby Wilder coming up with first stat of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website, applecollisioncenters.com.
Little pressure today since it's me with no Kelly Holcomb.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
Here we go. Murray State is one of 4 number 4 seeds to make it to Omaha ever. Can you name any of the other 3?
I really cannot.
Oh,
I was thinking about this earlier. So apparently all of you down there can see the answer. I cannot see the answer. So let me look at the 2 interns. Should I be able to get this right? Yeah, you don't know any more than I do. I don't know. You got to give it to me. I simply do not know.
Fresno State.
They were a 4?
Yep. Stony Brook and Oral Roberts 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. We could have been here till midnight, and I was never going to get it.
I would have gotten Oral and Stony Brook. I probably would have forgotten that Fresno was a 4 seed. I did not realize that.
That's a little hard to believe. Okay, are we now officially into the 4 o'clock hour?
Yes, sir.
Officially, there's been an explosion at the College World Series. This Coastal Carolina bunch is for real, and they're leading Arizona 7-4, and it looks like bottom of the 9th inning in Omaha. And if you've never been to Omaha, it's an incredible deal.
I want to go.
Looking forward to meeting up with Tennessee Tech football coach Bobby Wilder. I probably know more about him than he knows about me because the closest thing I have to a nephew, Timothy Koutras, is one of his star players. So let's bring Bobby to our microphones. Bobby, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
My pleasure, guys. Good to be with you. I'm absolutely living the dream. How about you guys?
Well, I want to know about the 5-5-10 rule. I need to hear that.
Oh, are you ready? Are you guys ready for this?
Absolutely.
Here you go. Tell me if it's 50-50, 100. Believe 50% of what you hear. Believe 50% of what you read, especially on social media. Believe 100% of what you see with your own eyes. What do you think of that, guys?
Where did you come with that?
I just learned it throughout my life, my experience, 35 years in coaching, dealing with young people, trying to help them become future leaders of America, trying to educate them right now on what they read, which is often misleading, what they hear, which is even more often misleading, and trust your eyes. Trust what you see with your eyes and take all that information in. Make a good decision. I'm a firm believer in the 24-hour rule, which means give yourself some time on major decisions. I'm a firm believer in walk around the problem. Take a circular approach. Don't just look at it from one angle and try to help young people become better problem solvers. That's how you turn setbacks into comebacks. That's how you learn how to deal with adversity in your life, is by doing those things. So that's how we came up with 50-50-100.
So, Bobby, let's apply it to something that happened to you guys. At the end of last season, you could have made a very serious claim that Tennessee Tech deserved to have one of the playoff spots. Instead, it went to Tennessee State. How did you use 50-50-100 around that?
Well, that one, we had a viewing at the selection show. We were together that Sunday as a team. And for those that don't know the backstory, we played our first 2 games of the year, money games, lost to Middle Tennessee late. We were 24-point underdogs, lost to Georgia. They were number 1 in the nation by 45. We were 55-point underdogs, but we started 0-2, lost our quarterback, got 12 players hurt, including one of my favorites, Tim Koutras. He had to play in a club for about 6 weeks with a broken hand. So we started 2-5, and then we got healthy, ripped off our last 5 games. So we ended up 7-5 on the year. I felt strongly we were a 10-win team, just the schedule got us. And what we applied to that after that disappointment that Sunday was run it back. Everything's been about run it back in 2025. We got a major chip on our shoulder because we didn't earn the right to get to the tournament. My good friend Eddie George, Tennessee State, they were 8-4. We were 7-5. Even though we beat them, we beat Tennessee Martin. They got in the tournament. They both had better records. So we got what we earned last year, which was the ability to sit home and watch the playoffs.
So, Bobby, I went to the game at Middle. And it's one of those weird early season deals where you end up with a monsoon at some point and you've got a 2.5 hour, 3 hour rain delay. What does a coach do during that time to keep his team exactly where you want them to be?
Card tricks. A lot of card tricks. No, in all seriousness, we get the pads back off them, tried to get them relaxed, got them food, tried to get them enough to eat, whether it's trail mix, granola bars, just something to keep in their stomach, because we didn't know the 6 o'clock kickoff was going to be 9:15, so it's 7 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock, and then we played a game that ended at 1:30, and we fell down 21-0 and just battled our way back. Actually took the lead 25-24 with a minute to go. They had a veteran quarterback. He took them down the field. But the biggest thing you're trying to do at that point, George, is just keep everybody relaxed, and including your head coach that hasn't coached a game since 2019, and have some fun.
So do you like the fact that there are a lot of people that believe you should be the favorite in the OVC going into this year?
Yeah, I embrace whatever's going to happen, whatever the standings are. Now, I'm a big Bill Parcells guy in terms of quotes, and his quote was always, "You are what your record says you are." There's 3 teams that made the playoffs last year, and we weren't one of them. So I've said to our team, those 3 teams are better than us. They went to the 2014 tournament, competed for a national championship. Well, we sat at home. But I do believe, George, that based on the fact we're nationally preseason 19 in a lot of polls, we could very well end up number 1 in our league, and we'll embrace that. If that's what it is, we'll embrace it.
Billy, you want to read to Coach Wilder what a listener just sent?
Yeah, Trace on YouTube just said, when it comes to the George Plaster Show, believing 50% of what you hear may be a little high.
Hey, I wasn't trying to get you guys set up, I promise.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's hilarious. So, Bobby, let me ask you about Tim Koutras. And obviously, I'm a little bit biased. His grandfather was the legendary Overton High School football coach, Nick Koutras. He was my grandmother's godchild. And so I've known Timothy since he was a baby. It appears to me that there's a chance he goes in his grandfather's footsteps and gets into coaching.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Tim and I have already talked about it. We're already working on his path. If there's not an opportunity for him at the next level, which there may very well be, he's going to be a preseason All-American. I think he's one of the best safeties in the country at our level, but he has all the natural makeup and ability to be a football coach. He's going to be a captain for the second year this year. I call him the alpha of the team. He's the leader of the pack. He's the guy when things get tough. He's the guy I'm pulling into my office and asking him for his perspective. He's got that look in his eye that you just love as a football. It just looks back at you, and you know he's going to speak the truth.
I think we lost Bobby for a second. I think the cell phone gremlins got him. Bobby, if you can hear me, tell me what you think the other strengths are going into this season.
Yeah, the number one thing right now, guys, is this is the most veteran team that I've ever coached. We're going to have 120 on the roster. We're going to have 40 players, including Tim Kutris, our leader, who are in there last year. I've never coached a football team that 1/3 of it is seniors. We've got guys that are 26 years old, 25, 24 due to COVID, due to red shirts, due to a lot of things that have happened. It's the most veteran team I've ever been around. So we're learning and discussing and talking about every day with the players, coaches, how to coach a veteran team. There's things you do differently. You get them their ABCs, what they need fundamental, and then you do situational football in practice because these guys are sharp, they're smart, they're driven, they got a chip on their shoulder from having to sit home last year. It's the most excited I've ever been in my coaching career to coach a team, and that's this team this year.
Coach, appreciate you taking the time. I want to ask about some really cool stuff going on with the stadium there in Cookeville. Tell us about the timeline with the construction, where you guys are at with it right now, and what the final product could be looking like there.
Yeah, it's good to see. They're coming out of the ground now. Completion date is next summer. It's going to be an impressive project. It's $60 million total. It's brand new locker room for the players. It's luxury boxes with suites. It's premium seating. It's everything you want in an FCS stadium rebuild that we're doing. Our President Oldham's one of the sharpest guys I've ever been around. I've been doing this 34 years. I've never been around a president that sees the chessboard like he does. He looks at this. He looks at football as an opportunity to help continue to increase enrollment. We're one of the few four-year institutions in America that's increasing enrollment right now. Most 4 years are losing students. This guy's increasing students at Tennessee Tech. We're the number 2 ranked public institution in Tennessee, and he sees athletics as the front door to the mansion. He wants to win at football. He's committed to winning at football. So I'm beyond excited with this stadium expansion. We're looking to build a football operations center that'll be top 10 in the nation. And it's all about competing for and winning national championships now with Tennessee Tech football.
Coach, taking a look at the schedule for this season, it's an interesting one. Obviously, a matchup with TSU in Week 4. Kentucky in Lexington later in that schedule as well. A fun matchup with Charleston Southern. Chattanooga Week 2. What stands out to you guys about this schedule as you take a look at it?
Number one thing is having 7 home games and only 5 away games. It's an opportunity to win, hold serve at home. The ultimate goal, guys, what we have to do is we've got to win 10 games. We've got to win the league. We've got to get a top 8 seed in the country because you get a first round bye, and then you're into the round of 16 in the tournament. So that's the goal we've set for ourselves. We set the schedule up to be able to compete more and have success. And man, I am so excited for people to be able to watch us. All our games are on TV. You can watch Tennessee Tech football. We're going to be exciting this year. We're going to be fun to watch. And I want this to be the type of season that our 1972 team had. They won 10 games. That's the most wins a team had in Tennessee Tech football history in 103 years. And that's the goal this year, to give our fan base, give our region a football team they can be proud of.
Coach, in an era where NIL, the transfer portal, has taken over the college sports landscape, we know about the news a few days ago that went down involving revenue share. How close of an eye are you keeping on that? I mean, you're a college coach, so you have to, no matter really what level you're at. But what was your take on the news that came down earlier this week? I guess it was later last week, actually, and where you guys are at and that process with your program, how it affects you guys.
Yeah, President Oldham had a great line about this, guys. It's like right now we're trying to fly an airplane while it's being built, which I thought was a classic line by him. We're embracing it. We started the Golden Eagle Collective back in January. GoldenEagle.com, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, hop on board. We're looking to have one of the highest collectives in the country right now. The goal we have is we're chasing North Dakota State. They've won 10 of the last 14 national championships in FCS, so we're trying to rival those teams. The teams out west run FCS football. I'm talking about North Dakota State, Montana State, South Dakota State, South Dakota. They're all committed to collective. They're all committed to cost of attendance, and that's what we're building at Tennessee Tech. We embrace it. We want to support it. We want to be able to recruit the top student athletes we can find for us in America. And guys, this past spring, this last portal season, we had the number 3 ranked portal class in America out of 130 teams, and the collective had a lot to do with that, being able to recruit and compete with other teams for the best talent in America.
Bobby, last thing, how close are you all to hiring a new AD?
Very close. We hired Turner Associates, which is one of the top search firms in America. They do athletic director searches, head coaches search. That's who I went through when I got hired at Tennessee Tech. We've had some outstanding candidates. We've had candidates on campus. So I feel like this is something that's very close to happening here in the next week or so. And the vision is to move all 15 sports, the entire athletic department, move it forward. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, we tied for a championship in football. Women's soccer won a championship. Women's basketball, baseball finished in the top of the league. So we have an excellent sports program at Tennessee Tech. Now it's about taking everything to the next level, starting with football.
You have been a lot of fun to have on the show. I'm sorry this is the first time we've done this. Should have done it earlier. Look forward to having you on again, and keep my close to nephew in line.
George, you can count on it. And I apologize that the 50-50-100 rule got your fan base a little riled up here, and that wasn't the goal.
Did it really? Oh, that's hilarious. I love that. That was a great – what Trace
you guys
put out
know
there.
anytime you're welcome to come to a game. Love to have you guys on campus anytime, and anytime I can come on your show, I'd be honored.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it, and
Thanks, Coach.
we will certainly take you up on it.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great day, and wings up.
Bobby Wilder, head football coach at Tennessee Tech University, joining us here on the show. After the break, he's now a commissioner, but he'll always be Titans head coach Jeff Fisher. He will join us next on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Are you ready to begin? Trevecca Nazarene University. From calling to becoming.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
Fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series in Norfolk. Pre-game at 5:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Well, the music is very simple. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave.
Oh, we haven't heard that one before.
Okay, so what happened? Coastal Carolina won?
Yep. Chanticleers win it 7-4 over Arizona, and they move on to advance to play the winner of Louisville and Oregon State.
They won it all in 16. They may be good enough to win it all again. They are that good. They've got big time starting pitching.
Yep.
That some of the other teams may not. Okay, if you're looking for an event this weekend that maybe you haven't thought about, the Cats, who have been playing very good football for the last month or so, are in Clarksville tomorrow at 5 o'clock at that beautiful F&M Bank Arena. And joining us by phone to talk a little bit about it is the commissioner of the league, former Titans coach Jeff Fisher, who has been making the media rounds today. Jeff, you got any voice left?
Yeah, I got just enough left for you, provided I don't have to sing Hotel California. So,
fair deal.
Doing good, George. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. How you guys doing?
Good. You're going to have a really good crowd up there tomorrow, aren't you?
That's what I'm told. Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. Got good numbers coming in. They're using the S word right now, and that would be awesome if there was a sellout, but it's probably going to be close. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and thanks for the opportunity. Are you going to come?
I will be there.
You don't have to answer on the air. Oh, you are? Okay, good. Well,
I will absolutely be there. Yeah.
Right.
So, Jeff, you've probably answered this about 5 different times today. There's a little bit of a feeling that in this city, with so much to do, that the Cats are just one of a series of sports options now, as opposed to when they came the first time. You go to Clarksville, there are not nearly the options. You've had much bigger crowds. Are you considering moving the home games up there next year?
You know, George, leave it to you to go down this path. We went up there last year. We wanted to have one game, and we absolutely loved the experience up there. The Cats, the players, the visiting team, everything associated with the F&M Bank Arena. But we were the Cats are known as the Nashville Cats, and so we came back this year, and our last home game, we had just under 4,000 people there. So I think we'll probably go down that path when the season's over. Maybe ideally you got to split, and maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know, but a little premature. But the one thing I don't want to overshadow just what's going to happen tomorrow with next year in the future. But this is a Military Appreciation Day as well, and we really we all recognize how important it is to partner with the military, the armed forces, and things. And so the league has gone that direction. I was in Salina, Kansas 2 weeks ago when they had their Military Appreciation Day, and so. With that being said, the proximity of F&M Bank and Fort Campbell, I said it makes sense to look into it. It really does. But we're looking forward to just playing well and hope our guys can find a way to pull out a win, because that basically assures them a playoff spot. And a lot has to happen if they don't to be eliminated. But it's easier to control your own destiny. And team's been playing pretty well under Coach Arbette. I thought, they just, it was a long trip and didn't get the bounces. Sometimes that ball comes funny off the net or comes funny off of this and that. And it did a couple of times, and they just fell a little bit short out in Billings last week. But this is a good one. There's a chance in the event that they win and some other things happen, there's a chance that, Nashville and Cat, we can host the first playoff game next weekend.
Jeff, going back, and it's hard to believe I'm using the word 30 years ago, but it's close to that. One of your biggest strengths when you got here was they could throw all this stuff at you, all these problems. You don't have a satellite dish to record games. You don't have this. You don't have that. And you never seem to let that get to you. And as commissioner of this league, you've had a ton of different stuff thrown at you over the last 12 months. I've got to believe that skill set you have, that, I'm just going to keep my head down, solve this problem, move on to the next one, the next one, the next one. That's really served you well, hasn't it?
Well, you're true. And speaking that to me, George, I really appreciate it. You know what? You don't realize how much you go through, endure, and the challenges in life and in the profession until it's over. And going back, I know it was a lot. When you talk about relocating two franchises, that enough should be said. But this world's different. The indoor football world's different. And as you brought up 30 years, they've been playing indoor football that long, and so. I just got into this, as we've talked many times, just because I wanted to help. And then I ended up helping, the Cats last year. And then things went sideways at the league level, and ended up helping there. And they invited me to be interim. And then they said, hey, would you do it full time? I said, yeah, particularly because of the ownership group that got through last year. So this is in essence our first year. We look at it as our inaugural season. Yeah, there have been challenges, but there's also been a lot of really good things. And there's a tremendous future ahead of this league. A day or week doesn't go by where we're interviewing potential prospects, potential ownership groups. A lot of people want to come in and join, and we're doing a lot of good things. So we're at the end. This is the final weekend. All 8 teams are playing. 3 games have playoff implications, and then we'll have playoffs next week, and we'll have the championship game after that, and then we'll really get started. I'm looking forward to getting into year 2. But yeah, there's things that come up. There's 65 to 63 games that are protested, and there's controversial plays at the end, and instant replay challenges that nobody understood, and rule. It's been fun. But the best part about this is the collaboration, the effort between the ownership and the small franchises. And I'd say we're more one of the bigger franchises just because of proximity and where we're playing in the market. But all that said, yeah, I think I'm prepared to handle problems. And, at least try to sort them out and don't ever overreact, and just kind of communicate your way through and take the emotions out. But by and large, I've really enjoyed what I've been doing.
Where do you think this can go? What obviously you've got plans, you've got some visions. Share with me a couple of things, if you can, that you think you can get this league to a year or two from now.
Well, there's a number of other leagues that are competing and participating. They're all, there's differences between the leagues. For example, the IFL doesn't have the net system. Completely different game when you talk about the net system. We do. There's a league out there that is more of a 7-on-7 rather than 8-on-8, and and there's a few teams there, and they're playing indoor 50-yard game in a lot of different areas. What we want to be is, and we believe that we are now, is we want to be that premier league. We want to be the league that has real solid streaming relationships, network relationships, gaming relationships, and then we'd like to expand. Nobody's keeping anything a secret. We have some potential, I'll say, overseas interest, and expand beyond the United States with arena football, and so there's a lot of stuff in play. We're constantly working to improve our front office at AF1, and we got through the first year. We're expanding. I would think the next year, for example, that we at a minimum we'd have somewhere between 4 and 6 new members, new teams in AF1. We'll be able to regionally set up divisions and save on travel costs and all those things. But there's a lot ahead. But the most important thing when this is over, George, as you recognize it, is I'm going to go fishing, and I'm going to make sure that I'm fishing in the fall, because I had about 35 falls in a row where I didn't get to fish. So I am going to fish.
Well, that seemed like a pretty certain priority there. Let me try this one. The thing that we see on TV right now, the UFL, it's on TV, it's championship week, and I'm not looking for you to rip, but I don't sense that the general public is paying all that much attention to that league. And I don't know. You tell me, what's the market to bear right now for spring-summer football?
I think you have to be careful if you combine us in with those other leagues. It's completely different. We're indoors. We're a completely different game. Our game's going to be over, obviously, end of June. The 11-on-11 leagues over time, with the exception of the first USFL, when they came out, you remember Herschel Walker and Steve Young, and that was an impactful league, and they had a lot of money and they had a lot of things behind them, and they ran it. They ran their course. They had success. Beyond that, you've got small leagues, spring leagues that popped up here and there. The NFL Europe, that was a spring league, but that had significant backing. The Alliance of American Football came and went, didn't finish the first year. USFL ends up merging with the XFL, and now it's the UFL. It just appears that it's difficult to play the 11-on-11 outdoor game in the spring, and then certainly you can't necessarily compete in the fall. So we know that, based on history, that and it's been a while, but based on history, this indoor league, the indoor game itself, can survive, primarily because you have a unique blend of big markets and small markets, and the small markets are the cool markets, and in a lot of ways, they're the only game in town, the only thing in town, these small markets. And, they have a loyal fan base, and they follow the team really well. And and so on and so forth. So I would expect, that I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think the future was really, really bright for our league.
Coach, appreciate you taking the time. I want to ask more on the Clarksville front, because seeing pictures, I know, George, you were there the last time they were out in Clarksville. A lot of people were. What about Clarksville makes it such an attraction out there? I know George hit on a little bit of it, but is there something else within Clarksville that kind of draws more people out there?
Well, I think it's what's not in Clarksville. And that's what George was alluding to. You have Austin Peay, which is it's a fabulous university, and they've got outstanding, sports programs and outstanding athletic department. You get past that, and there's not a whole lot up there, and so this could be the only game in town if you were to go ahead and go that direction. A lot of businesses unique to Clarksville, and it's not that far away. And that's where, we didn't do a poll last year to see how many people came up from Nashville or how many people that attended the only game we had last year were actually from Clarksville. But I would say it's probably closer to about 80%. So, we'll do the analysis and things like that, and then get to work and see what's best for AF1 and what's best for the Nashville Cats.
All right, I want to go a little bit toward the NFL now. Cam Ward is obviously in the OTAs right now. They actually have a next couple weeks off. But obviously there's all kinds of talk about, well, look at Cam Ward talking trash to Jeffrey Simmons and look what's going on. Can you give the listeners kind of a limelight into this time of year for NFL teams and maybe kind of give them a forewarning of, hey, everything doesn't really matter as much as you might think it matters?
Wait a minute, Jeff, shouldn't he have to pay $300 to attend a McLean dinner to get that answer?
Cam Ward? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We got to set that. We got to bring that back again, George. That was way too much fun. But you know what you have? You have this kind of, I don't know, how do I describe it? You've got, when the rooks come in, the new rookie class comes in, the vets kind of bow up and they're going to check them out. And because they're counting on, especially the higher the pick. And so you're going to get a little bit of dialogue going on. And I've met Jeffrey several times. I have a great deal of respect for him as a player and everything he does on and off the field. He's a really, really smart guy. It doesn't surprise me that he decided to strike up a few conversations during practice with the quarterback just to check him out and see how he responds. Coach alluded to the fact that, hey, he didn't think he was listening to the play call, but because he was talking trash, with the defense and lined up and executed the play call. So, from one standpoint, I think it's all positive. I don't think there's any negative to it. Trust me, Jeff, Cam wouldn't be here had he not been able to lock in and focus on things. And one of the things that comes out of, at least from what I was able to, in the small amount of research I did on him, was that any place he went, he walked in the door and he was just a natural. You got guys that walk in the locker room and they're trying to be leaders, or they're trying to be this or trying to be that. And in 5 minutes, you tell that it's not real. They're uncomfortable. This guy gets it. And there's plenty of people to testify about that, because you got 3 different staffs to interview, and because he plays at 3 different places. So the information out on him was, hey, the guy's really got some rare character traits from a leadership standpoint. And so I think that's what you're hearing at practice. So I'd be more concerned about just the time off. This is the time of the year, man, where coaches roll over and don't get much sleep at night because they're worried about their team, because they can't put their hands on them and over the next 4 to 6 weeks until they come back to camp.
So, Billy, you're too young to remember the McLean dinners.
Yep.
The McLean dinners, kind of named after John McLean, put somewhere between $750,000 and $1 million extra dollars and I'm not exaggerating, into the Charles Davis Foundation back then. And, you know, I remember when we approached Jeff about it, not only was he agreeable to putting up with it, but was incredibly enthusiastic every year about it. Now, one thing I couldn't have known was what a rock star Steve Watterson would be. If Watterson was in on it, it was hilarious. And Jeff, I would say the third one would have been Dave McGinnis. McGinnis had great stories.
Mac had great stories, but don't forget about Dinger, man. When Dinger was here and rolling, he had a couple backs where he was really special. I mean, and just for the listeners, basically, we go. It's a nice little sit-down dinner, and when dinner's over, you put three chairs or thereabouts, 4 chairs up on the little stage, and give everybody a mic, and then all bets are off. We talked about anything and everything, and everything was off the record, and the phones were off, and it was and they just kept. You know, I think George, we may have started with one night on a Saturday, and by the time we got rolling, we were going back to back to back nights.
Yep.
And we had so many people, and on occasion I'll run into people here in town and go, "Hey, I was at a McLean dinner, man. I remember when you were talking about it." And I said, "Oh yeah." So they're Billy. It was historic. It was really cool.
Pretty cool stuff. It really was. I can remember when people would say to me before they got here, "Well, they're not going to do any good in this community." Well, I can tell you, the Charles Davis Foundation would have never been able to go the places they did without the generosity of this guy, Watterson, Dave McGinnis, any number of others. And it was pretty.
Watterson gave us a good taste of some of those McLean dinners a couple months ago when he was on with us.
Steve Watterson is a piece of work. Jeff, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you for the visit.
I'll save you a parking spot, George. Catch up with you tomorrow. 5 p.m. Get there early. Let's talk.
See you then.
All right. Thanks.
The S word. Sell out.
Not surprised.
Not sold out yet, but close.
Because, like I said, those pictures of what it looked like. How long ago was that? The last one in Clarksville?
Last summer.
So, I mean, it was awesome.
One of the best stories that ever got told was in 1987, strike year in the NFL. The Bears were one of the teams that figured out, okay, these scab games are going to count. And so they had a better roster than most of the teams, and they went 3-0. And so when the veterans came back, Ditka held a meeting with them where he told them that he wanted them to vote on whether the replacement players would get any of the playoff money. They go caucus. They finally come back, according to McGinnis, that whoever the leader of the players was, we have voted they're not getting any money. Pounded his hand into the thing and says, I don't give a damn what your decision is. They're getting some money. And it was one of the all-time great stories that has ever come out of there.
I can't imagine what else came out.
Oh, listen, I was just very proud of what went on because it raised a ton of extra money for the Charles Davis Foundation. After the break, we have a winner from the College World Series. It's Coastal Carolina. They beat Arizona today 7-4. We'll go to Omaha to get an update. Stay tuned. This is 94.9 The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Hi, this is Jeff Fisher, and the Nashville Cats return to F&M Bank Arena in downtown Clarksville for our next home game, Saturday, June 14th at 5 p.m. against the Corpus Christi Tritons. Please visit thenashvillecats.com for tickets. Clause out.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't. Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Busy day on the show. It's gone by like that.
Yeah, this might be a record guest on the show. Record number of guests.
It might be. It's amazing with skipping a day. We didn't skip a day. Let's again apologize to all of you for what went on yesterday. But in all honesty, this one's a national StreamYard problem.
And by the way, it's funny. I know we got Harrison coming on here from Omaha, who we've had on before. I know they probably are familiar with the same issues yesterday. Harrison, I don't know when you guys recorded anything or if you guys went live yesterday, but there was a Google Cloud StreamYard issue, and we couldn't even do our show yesterday.
Hey, guys. Yeah, we didn't have any issues with it, luckily. I think we got in our show live from Omaha Baseball Village at Chinook Seedery with the Golden Spike Stroke. We did that from 11 a.m., probably 11:30 a.m. Central Time to about 12:45, and we didn't have any issues with it during it, but uploading it podcast-wise, we did have some little issues with StreamYard being down, but I think we got the YouTube show off just in time with that. But yeah, I saw and noticed that StreamYard having some issues throughout the day yesterday, but things are working back out now.
Harrison, I know I've made one trip to Omaha in 2015, and I had heard all the great stories about Omaha. And to be honest, I didn't believe any of them going in. And I came away saying it's one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had. I know you've been there several times. Tell people what this week and a half is like.
Yeah, this is my second ever Omaha trip to the College World Series. Second time in Omaha in general. Luckily for me, I went through the opportunity to come last year to cover the SEC for SEC Unfiltered, and a great year to do so with the entire finals being SEC, let alone having 4 teams in the field and an SEC champions in the 5th straight year. The experience in itself is unbelievable. And I honestly compare it, for me personal experience-wise, to the Masters in Augusta National and just what it means, I think, for the city of Omaha, Nebraska, and just the locals here too, and the local businesses, everything for that. But it's so much different because it's, it's an amateur sport. It's not a professional sport. That's like I don't want to say celebrity kind of event, but just different levels. But you get these fan bases, different fan bases every year, especially this year. This is the 4th year in the history of college baseball we've had no returning teams from the previous year. And it's the first time since 1957, in fact. So you get all these fan bases that come just from different parts of the country, different fans that, there's people in Omaha that are fans of certain teams or that have become fans of certain teams, like LSU fans I've met that live in Omaha just because LSU's been to Omaha so many times. But it's the experience in itself of the city, how the heartbeat of the city just comes alive truly in this 2-week time frame. And they do a really great job of cleaning the city up specifically for this event, the College World Series. And just interacting, the fan bases, the stories, off the field of the interaction between the fan bases, the city of Omaha itself, the food, the restaurant, the experience as a whole, let alone to get to watch the baseball on the field, which is the best baseball, of the season, obviously. But it's just such an immersive experience that it's hard to describe, that you can only truly understand when you feel it. Like you said, when you came, that you didn't really believe it, but you get here and you really embrace it, understand that, and feel what that means and what this means to not only college baseball fans, but I think fans of just the sport and locals in the city.
Harrison, is it possible? And I started thinking this last weekend when I watched Coastal Carolina just blitz through Auburn. Auburn never had a chance in that series. Is it possible that the Coastal Carolina team that won today is the best team in this field, and we haven't quite figured it out yet?
It's possible. I'm going to say not as likely. I think just because you have two heavyweights of LSU and Arkansas, who have been two of the best teams in the country in the biggest conference, the best conference throughout the season. But that's no slack or disrespect to Coastal Carolina. I think they're a phenomenal team. I think they have one of the best starting rotations in college baseball left. And then when you have James Morrison, you have Riley Eckhoff and Cameron Fluke. Eckhoff and Fluke, both of which pitched today, were very interesting to know that we can get into more. But this lineup's relentless, and they're able to produce 1 through 9 like they can, and today specifically 6 through 9 holes, each going 2 for 4 and producing the majority of the offensive production and the run support there. I mean, it's a team that you can't take for granted. Coastal Carolina is a group of 5 school. They play in the Sun Belt Conference. They're not a Power 14, but they consistently been able to prove that they can play and win with the big boys on the biggest stages when it matters most.
Harrison, I don't think I've ever been this excited for a game in Omaha than I am tomorrow night. LSU, Arkansas. I'll be interested to see the fan split because I've heard of some Arkansas fans waiting. They're going to wait. They're confident. They're going to wait maybe till next week, if they advance to make the trip up to Omaha. Either way, it's going to be so fun to see this matchup. What are you most looking forward to in that one tomorrow night there in Omaha?
It's, for me, the second biggest game that I've been looking forward to, just because I was able to fortunately enough be here last year in the championship series. Game 1 at the time of the championship series was Tennessee and A&M, but then it was game 3. And I was like, man, just game 3, these two heavyweight SEC programs, what it means both teams in their first national championship. So for me, I think that's still number 1, and obviously with it being my first experience, but this one's really close behind. Just two of the most passionate fan bases that travel unbelievably well. Maybe LSU's one of the best fan bases in the country traveling, and they're making the trip up here to Omaha, to Go-Maha, like they like to call it, in Arkansas, still in the hunt for their first national championship after losing out on 2018, just to kind of keep that brief for the Razorback fans. But honestly, I haven't seen as many Arkansas fans. I mean, especially when you mentioned that they might be waiting. I mean, I don't know if you want to wait around and do that. I mean, I think you want their sport, and talking to some of the Arkansas players like Will McIntyre and Rocco, some other guys, Charles Babylon, they love the Arkansas support. What that means to them, he says it means everything. Will McIntyre told me. It's just an unwavering support that he said, I don't care where we play, if it's at Baum Walker, if it's in Omaha, or if it's at Dodger Stadium in LA. I think the fans would come out and support us no matter what. And that just means the world, especially, he said being a kid from Arkansas growing up and getting to play here and get to play for a coach like Gabe Van Horn. But LSU fans are already here. I mean, they're here in droves already, and it's only going to get more and more painted in purple and gold here in Omaha. And I'm excited to see, I think, the matchups of Cade Anderson versus Zach Root versus these elite lineups, but just kind of how they both go approach it, handle things in their respective ways. But outside of that, I think just the feeling of that game Saturday night, it's going to feel like the championship. It's absolutely, and everyone talk about how it's going to feel like the championship. Just, I think I hate that they're on the same side, let alone playing game 1, but there's no better way to do it than to end the first round games and it be a night game for sure. It's going to be a shaking atmosphere. I mean that from a stadium standpoint. It's going to be so loud. It's going to be unbelievably incredible to experience. And I think everyone here is looking forward to it. All the fans are coming are stoked to do it and either experience that and experience Omaha, whether it's their 15th time or their first time. And I think everyone's looking forward to that as a whole.
And George, I've got LSU winning the Jello shot contest, but I like Arkansas tomorrow night in that one.
It'll be a terrific game either way.
I have LSU with the Jello shot challenge. My question is, does LSU break their record from 2023 of over 68,000 Jello shots? Now that I don't know if they'll do. LSU fans, if they hear me, they're obviously up for the challenge. They always are. They obviously want to be the best and first. I think, and I've talked about this a lot on our shows and other wavelengths, this is the most important game because I think the winner of this game is LSU and Arkansas in the championship. And that's no disrespect to LSU, to UCLA or Murray State, but I just think the completeness of both these teams, I think a little tiny bit more offensively for Arkansas gives them a little bit more complete teams. But the way LSU's swinging right now in the postseason, I mean, you guys saw it in the Super Regionals. I mean, it's the team you don't want to face, and the lineup you don't want to face when they're hot, especially when they have the crowd support they do at the Alex Box and what it's going to feel like Alex Box in a way. They're going to try to make it feel like that, LSU fans. But the winner of this game, I definitely have the championship series, and I have a 51-49. I went LSU. I just think I like Cam Anderson's floor, and he's doing a little bit more than Zach Root, what we've seen so far this season as a whole. I mean, with that being said, though, the outing he had against Tennessee, going over 7 innings and I think less than 2 runs. I mean, he's playing incredible ball. He's pitching his best right now, and that's when you want and need it. And man, it's going to be a thriller, and I think one that a lot of fans will remember for a very long time.
Harrison, we're envious. You're in a great spot. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Harrison Fant joining us from Omaha, Nebraska. Billy, let's get right to the big news, and that is I'm on a heater.
You are on a heater. Kelly, I wish Kelly was on today to endure this because you are 6-0. No show yesterday helps.
Yes, it
that's
does.
A little bit of a lift this week, but Better the Day brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. What is it tonight? Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Pacers, Thunder. We'll see where Georgia's going. But first, we got to take a look at the week. Obviously, 6-0 so far. But is this a jinx? Are we?
No, we're not jinxing. We've got wins tonight. Look at that. How beautiful is that? 107, 109, and 5. This is the closest that I've been to 500 in a long time this year. Tonight, let me just say that Vegas has not figured it out. This is one of the few times that I'm ahead of Vegas. They have not given Indiana their just due. After 2 nights ago, that line should be no more than 3.5 OKC. But tonight, it's 6. That's too many. Indiana is really good. I'm not saying they're going to win tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win the NBA title. But dadgum, what do they need to do for Vegas to figure out they're pretty damn good? Take the Pacers and the points, Pacer people.
By the way,
what happened to our little do we not have
there
it?
It is.
Thank you. We're taking the Pacers. And our buddy Ward Baker sent me this picture. The city is fired up, and they should be. They're 2 wins away from a world title that maybe they win, maybe they don't. But the bottom line is Vegas hadn't figured it out. They're giving Indiana too many points. Take the Pacers and the points.
I don't get that. I don't get that line.
And then let's go to the hockey, where Edmonton tomorrow night is going to take a 3-2 lead. This has to be a downer for the Florida Panthers. They thought they had this series locked up. When they were up 3-0 last night, they never dreamed they were going to lose. So that flight today from Florida to Edmonton, which isn't like flying to St. Louis from here, that's a long flight. This is not going to go well for Florida tomorrow night. Edmonton is going to win. They're going to go up 3-2 in a series that is going to go the distance. And Edmonton is going to end up being your Stanley Cup champion. And Florida can look back to last night and say, this is where we lost it.
I have no clue what happens in this one.
What a busy show we had. You realize we're done?
That was wild.
Monday, we'll probably go back up to Omaha. Murray State will likely be playing their second game as we speak. Willie Donick will join us as well. So we got a full menu. All of you have a great weekend wherever you're going. Do it safely. This is 94.9 The Fan.